Round 5 of the ASCC Championship would see our competitors head west to the ABQ Speed Bowl in New Mexico. Jason Richardson and Carl Hampton swept the front row for Team Star USA, and Richardson jumps out to the early lead. He has not qualified outside the top 5 once this year. But on lap 2, we already see how difficult the ABQ Speed Bowl is to navigate, as Tim Woodard slid up into Angus Black and Ryan Long, took both of those cars into the wall. Shortly after the restart, Aaron Singer, the Inglesby points leader, has a huge crash into that tire barrier on the inside of the backstretch. That was a little bit of contact between himself and Johnson Clapp, who then finds trouble just a few laps later and takes out the SARB points leader, Dan Richards, in that bright yellow number 7 car. This wreck happened right in front of the leaders. Joshua Pacer, last week's winner at Nashville, got some slight damage in that wreck, but he stayed out while the rest of the leaders pitted and inherits the race lead. The top spot here at ABQ is a familiar spot for Joshua Pacer. He got his first FARC win here just a few years ago. And Johnson Clapp's troubles for this race and his season continue with another big crash into that inside wall. That inside wall has been a big concern over the years, but with so much infrastructure in the infield of this track, there isn't a whole lot of room for runoff. Lance Stone in the very underfunded 97 car would inherit the lead by staying out on track, but he doesn't have the pace to stay there. Another big crash on the backstretch as Porter House goes up and over. His teammate Angus Black is also involved, and Jason Richardson, the pole sitter, goes out of the race after coming off of 2 top 10 finishes in a row. But now, carrying the flag for Team Star USA is Aaron Law, who took the lead for the restart. Joshua Pacer in the 9 actually fell a couple laps down on an unscheduled stop and is fighting very aggressively to make up that ground, opening up the door for Palmer Styles to have a look at the lead. I don't think Aaron Law appreciated being shoved around by Joshua Pacer just there, but he's a man on a mission right now. But he's able to hold off Styles for the moment. Running a bit further back in 6th place early on in this race is Jeff Little, a very good showing for him so far. That distinctive flat gray car has finished in the top 15 3 times to start the season. Aside from getting caught in an accident at Myrtle, Georgia, they've been very good at picking their way through the carnage that has defined the first leg of the season to get good results. After another restart, rookie Colton Spencer would jump from 4th to the lead, but he's very quickly hounded by Aaron Law. Gets a little loose, trying to get past him, but he's got that car stuck to the bottom. Colton Spencer holding him off for now as he tries to beat off his back bumper now. It looks like he thinks the 13 is holding him up, as here come the 21 of Palmer Styles and the 9 of Joshua Pacer, who's come around to try to get another one of his laps back. Aaron Law finally gets around the 13, leaving him to be Palmer Styles' problem now, but Joshua Pacer is still on the move. Donnie Olson in the number 1 for Gulf Motorsports goes up in smoke after making his way up to 12th despite some damage, and he's going to get tagged by the 07 of Austin Sanders. That's the second blown engine this weekend for Gulf Motorsports. Their FARC car, driven by Mark Thompson, also lost its engine as Colton Spencer becomes the next victim of that backstretch wall after getting out of shape all by himself. Meanwhile, Joshua Pacer is back on the lead lap, and he knows it as he puts the power down and very quickly starts making up spots. It looks like he's going to try to go for 5 spots in a single lap. Pacer's definitely taking advantage of his prior knowledge of this track and some good old fearlessness as he goes from 10th to 5th in just a couple of corners. Normally, going 2 laps down would ruin your race, but obviously this does not apply to Joshua Pacer right now as he sets his sights on the leaders. Meanwhile, one of the other hot rookies of this season, Stefan Włodarczyk in the 37, comes very close to disaster as he races Alex Carson for 2nd place. But Włodarczyk isn't giving up as he continues to chase after Alex Carson for not only 2nd place, but for the Lennard Division points lead. And now he's got a shot at the race lead thanks to some very heavy lapped traffic. Tim Woodard was blocking Aaron Law, but now he blocks Włodarczyk a little. Włodarczyk powering through on the inside to take the lead. And and he's going to get by these other lapped cars pretty easily, despite the inside line being somewhat of a disadvantage at this track. And now things go from bad to worse for Aaron Law as he gets together with Palmer Styles and Brett Findlay and goes into the outside wall right in front of Greg Gray in the 78 car. Law would continue on, but Greg Gray is done for the day. After the restart, Stefan Wlodarczyk would continue to lead. He's got Palmer Styles looking on the inside, but now the leaders are running across lapped traffic again. The 0 of Elmer Farley and the 97 of Lance Stone. Styles boxes Wlodarczyk in behind Stone and will take the lead for himself. Alex Carson follows through to second place, but there's a crash right in front of the leaders. Styles and Carson very narrowly avoided. That was Austin Sanders in the 07 getting loose and hitting the backstretch wall. Peter Johnson and Tim Woodard are involved, and Lance Stone smashes right into the side of the 07, sends him flipping, and Wlodarczyk is probably wishing he was wearing a brown suit right now because that was very, very close for the 37. Joshua Pacer has taken third place from Stefan Wlodarczyk now, but after the restart, he is struggling to catch the leaders. It seems that his car might be worn out after that huge recovery that he made. Right behind him, Stefan Wlodarczyk is continuing to struggle with the lapped cars, and Aaron Law gets back by him, just as Wlodarczyk used lap traffic to get by him for the lead earlier on. Aaron Law comes very close to disaster, splitting it 3 wide between Cam Barnes and Tim Woodard, but Aaron Law is still in position for a decent finish, even with that back end smashed in. Alex Carson and Palmer Styles are obviously fighting very hard for the lead right now. Styles is trying to hold off Alex Carson over this second half to pick up a second win for himself and Inglesby. It's been all about Flair Motorsports and Lennard in these past couple of races, and of course, Wlodarczyk won the season opener in his Lennard, but now Alex Carson, the Lennard division leader, has an opportunity to get by Styles. He's going to try to box him in behind the 76 of Bobby Miller III, who is multiple laps down in his Inglesby. And just like that, Alex Carson starts to pull away, but there is even more lapped traffic ahead. And at this point in the race, with so much attrition, the driver in 10th place, Tim Woodard, is multiple laps down, but not anymore as the engine goes on the number 22 Caterpillar SAR. However, with all the cars that have fallen out before him, he is still going to grab his best finish of the season and settle for 12th. But this is going to hand 10th place to Elmer Farley, and top 10s are very hard to come by for him and his shoestring budgeted team. But not only that, he stands to get back into a playoff spot in the Inglesby division. That won't come until much later, but of course, results like this go a long way. Meanwhile, Alex Carson hasn't looked back once ever since taking the lead from Palmer Styles, and he works on putting 4th place Aaron Law a lap down, coming to the checkered flag to take his second win of the year. Palmer Styles would have to settle for second, and Joshua Pacer completes a top 3 sweep for Flair Motorsports. Myrtle Beach Speedway in South Carolina would be next on the ASCC Tour. This time it's an all-Lennard front row as Joshua Pacer leads Stefan Wlodarczyk at the start, but Wlodarczyk quickly powers around the outside to take the lead. Aaron Law thinks about trying to take second from Pacer. He would eventually make the move, and coming to the end of lap 9, Aaron Law comes after Stefan Wlodarczyk for the lead. Team Star USA have given him another fast car after his misfortunes at ABQ, and they're probably hoping he won't wad this one up too. But Wlodarczyk really likes that high line to start the race, but he's going to run it wide up in 4, and Law will clear him. But Law would quickly run into and out of patience for the lapped traffic as he puts Daniel Voiles into the wall with Alex Carson putting pressure on him. a very counterproductive strategy for maintaining the lead, but immediately after the restart, Tim Woodard gets into the back of Cam Barnes and puts him into the wall, leaving Richie Pinto, the rookie in the number 30 for Expansion Motorsports, with nowhere to go. Alex Carson, sporting the red Incel Batteries car, continues his pursuit of Aaron Law, who runs wide in turn 3 just as Włodarczyk did, and that clears the way for Alex Carson coming back to another caution. We didn't have any cautions in the first 16 laps, but now they're flying one right after the other as Greg Gray overcooks it into 3 with nowhere to go but into the side of the 44 of the other Expansion Motorsports car driven by Peter Johnson, and that's Bobby Miller III out of the race. Lap 55, Carl Hampton qualified 5th, but an unscheduled stop sent him into the danger zone and out of the race as contact between Ryan Long and Winston Orwell set off a small pileup. Alex Carson and Jason Richardson would stay out under that caution while most of the other leaders pitted, and now they fight for the lead after the restart. Alex Carson trying to hang on around the outside, just like at ABQ. The outside at this track is very strong. Jason Richardson not having an easy time getting by Carson, but he does nose ahead to lead that lap, and it looks like he will clear him off of 2 this time, but Alex Carson fights back. Richardson runs wide, and Carson challenges him again. A good side-by-side battle between the longtime rivals, Team Star USA and Flair Motorsports. Richardson still has the upper hand. As you see behind these guys, Calvin Hobbs in 3rd in car number 68 is having a very good run for himself so far, and now Carson noses ahead to take the lead back. Carson, the Lennard Division leader, looking to extend his lead tonight. Jason Richardson sits 2nd, right behind Dan Richards. Carson and Richardson, of course, were also in the Championship 4 last year, which was won by Tony Durbin. Carson put up a very good fight, but Richardson is just a little bit better than him around the outside, and Richardson will keep the lead. Stefan Włodarczyk was one of the drivers who pitted under the last yellow, but a tap from Colton Spencer is going to put him and Brett Finley up into the wall. Włodarczyk is Carson's biggest rival for the Lennard lead, but this is going to be a big setback for him. Another round of pit stops would shuffle up the field again, putting Jim Hayes at the front of the field for the first time in his ASCC career, with Joshua Pacer right behind him. Aaron Singer sits there in 3rd, having a very good run after losing the Inglesby lead, and Pacer, just as aggressive as ever, runs Jim Hayes up the track and will take the lead for himself. Here comes Aaron Singer with a run almost running into the side of the 77, trying to take 2nd. Watch the 16 of Porterhouse. He gets 3 wide and bounces all over the place, finally putting Greg Gray into the wall as if he hasn't had enough problems today. Here comes Calvin Hobbs. He's going to get the front end of that car smashed up, and Bill Calhoun, not paying any attention whatsoever, takes himself out. And you saw Ryan Long in that bright red 5 car get involved in yet another one. If you've just started paying attention to Aaron Singer today, you would have no idea how much he has struggled at the start of his racing career just a few years ago. But moving up to the ASCC with his family team seems to be paying off for him finally, as he runs 2nd. That's his best run ever. But yet another restart would shuffle him and Joshua Pacer back, putting Stefan Włodarczyk up into the lead, recovering from his earlier wreck, but he's got Palmer Styles all over him in that 21 car, and Calvin Hobbs, missing his front end, is back up into the 3rd spot. But just as quickly, we would get another caution as Paul Sherman gets turned up into the wall after contact with Lance Stone and goes for a roll off of turn 4. Dan Richards in the 7, the SAR points leader, gets involved in a 2nd accident in a row. He hasn't set the world on fire this season, but he's gotten up into the SAR lead based on consistency, although having all these accidents is not going to be helping him, as Palmer Styles moves around Włodarczyk for the lead after the restart. Włodarczyk battles back around the outside, though. Back in the day, before the stock car racing split of 2010, Palmer Styles would regularly duel with Włodarczyk's father, Todd, in the TM Master Cup Series, so this is certainly something special to see tonight. But look out for Jason Richardson. He's fighting his way back to the front, taking it 3 wide with Calvin Hobbs and Joshua Pacer, really squeezing that 68 car between them. But Richardson has one of the fastest cars on the track right now, looking for his first win of the season, looking for Sarr's first win of the season. But Jim Hayes sits right in front of him, will be his next victim. And in just a few laps, he takes the fight to the leaders, boxing in Palmer Styles behind the 97 of Lance Stone, getting by the single zero car of Elmer Farley, and Jason Richardson reclaims the lead with Stefan Wlodarczyk in pursuit. Richardson would survive 2 more cautions and another round of pit stops to maintain the lead. Wlodarczyk runs second. Palmer Styles, now clear of lap traffic, runs third and tries to make a run on Wlodarczyk for the second spot. Aaron Singer has been doing a great job staying up in the top 5 for most of the night, but Alex Carson is going to make the move around him to knock him out of the top 5, and running right behind him, still in the race, is the number 69 of Johnson Clapp for McDermott Motorsports. He currently sits last in the Inglesby standings, but that's because he has yet to finish a race this year. The car has been much better than that, probably the second most competitive of the Inglesbys. Angus Black, alongside his teammate at What's Your Beef Motorsports, Porter House, have also been struggling this year, but Black currently runs in 10th, one of his best runs of the year. Jason Richardson has pulled away from the field, but the engine goes as we take 11 laps to go. Richardson has led more laps than anyone else tonight and has easily had the race-winning car, but now he's going to have nothing to show for it. Richardson and Sarr are going to have to wait a little bit longer for their first wins. As you see just ahead of him, Porter House has also blown up. This hands the lead over to Palmer Styles, but he runs into lap traffic with Stefan Wlodarczyk bearing down on him. Wlodarczyk takes away the inside as Styles gets held up behind Aaron Law. Law almost throws a block on Wlodarczyk for some reason, but obviously thinks better of that. And Wlodarczyk has the lead, coming to the white flag, but Styles is catching him. He seems to have the faster car, just not the luck that he needs in traffic, but there's Lance Stone in the 97, making life miserable for Wlodarczyk. Styles cuts left, and he has the inside coming through turns 3 and 4. Wlodarczyk trying to hang on around the inside. It's a drag race to the line, and Wlodarczyk takes his second win of the season. At most tracks, that would have gone to Styles, but the grippy outside line here helps Wlodarczyk prevail. After the short track heavy first quarter of the season, we move on to the Trenton Raceway in New Jersey, which will be the first track over 1 mile in length since the season opener at Rockingham. Stefan Wlodarczyk follows up nicely on his Myrtle Beach victory with the pole position. The drivers come up on what they're calling the big challenge of this weekend, that right-hand bend in the backstretch, but Peter Johnson off of turn 2 gets hooked by Daniel Voiles and goes flying across the grass into the inside wall. A very hard hit for Johnson in that 44 car, but he would thankfully climb out. But we're not done yet as Voiles comes flying back up onto the track and takes Greg Gray and Ryan Long into the wall with him. All 3 cars go rolling down turn 3. That looks like a huge design flaw with that wall there that launched all 3 of those cars. A huge disaster down in turn 3 and on the backstretch to start this race. Jim Hayes would blow up under this caution right after jumping up into second in the Sarr standings with his 3rd place finish at Myrtle Beach, and Carl Hampton would also drop out under that caution, making this a very smoky yellow flag for the Sarr division. Meanwhile, it's the Lennard rivals, Stefan Wlodarczyk and Alex Carson, 1-2 on this restart. Aaron Law and Joshua Pacer, 3rd and 4th. And unfortunately, McDermott Motorsports will go back to their DNFing ways, with Johnson Clapp blowing up at the end of lap 11. That team deserves so much better for the work that they put in to compete with Palmer Styles, in their fellow Inglesby rival, and the other strong teams in the ASCC. Alex Carson is going to make the move on Stefan Wlodarczyk for the lead, but due to that bend in the backstretch, Wlodarczyk does have a slight advantage on that outside, but Carson still sticking his nose in there, and he might have the momentum off of the corner with Joshua Pacer in the 9 coming up on these guys quick as they fight each other and slow down, but Wlodarczyk pulls ahead on the front stretch and clears Carson to keep the lead. As the leaders pull away, Aaron Law has the 4th spot. Palmer Styles wants it going into turn 3. Jason Richardson looks on, hoping that his engine will stay together today. But in front of this group, Palmer Styles clears the 25 quite easily and settles into 4th. A few laps later, Alex Carson will try to take the lead once again from Stefan Wlodarczyk, but it seems like passing is going to be a little difficult here without the right conditions, but Elmer Farley getting in the way certainly helps. Alex Carson clears Wlodarczyk for the lead, and Joshua Pacer's going to try to follow his teammate. I wonder if even without the interference from the 0, Wlodarczyk was not going to last much longer in the lead anyway. The SARs were having engine troubles earlier, and now the Inglesbys have been going up in smoke. Johnson Clapp went out just a while ago, and now Paul Sherman will go out in the 88 car. At the start of lap 36, Joshua Pacer decides that he wants the lead as we get by the 16 of Porter House. We've settled into a very long green flag run at the start of this race. The field has gotten spread out, but the top 3 have been glued to each other. We did have a crash a while ago that probably should have brought out the caution, but didn't. Bobby Miller's going to get hooked and turned into the pit lane by Austin Sanders in the 07. An obviously dangerous situation to have a car flying towards the pit crews, but thankfully no debris got over that pit wall. It probably wasn't a great judgment call to not throw the yellow here, but Bobby Miller keeps going and will get in the way of the leaders. Stefan Wlodarczyk takes the lead once again as Joshua Pacer gets held up and cannot find a way around the 76 car all the way down the backstretch. He's going to lose sight of Wlodarczyk and Carson in just a moment. With as aggressive as Joshua Pacer has been in these last couple of races, I'm surprised that he did not turn the 76 car around, but he will lose track of the leaders. And now trouble off of turn 4 again. Austin Sanders going around this time, thanks to Cam Barnes, but he spins well out of the way. Not into the pit lane this time, and again, the caution doesn't come out. But some of these drivers are probably wishing that we've had a few yellows right now because Stefan Wlodarczyk is about to lap the 10th place battle between Bill Calhoun and Calvin Hobbs. Wlodarczyk and Carson have taken off and put so many cars a lap down. We're just a few laps shy of halfway right now, and so far we've only had the 1 caution for that huge wreck on the backstretch and in turn 3. But now trouble for Alex Carson. He seems to have cut a tire down off of turn 2. He got that car way out of shape, but slowed down and has gotten back in control, but he's going to have to limp all the way to the pits. Routine pit stops are coming up soon-ish, but this is not going to do Alex Carson any favors, and Joshua Pacer has not made up any time on Stefan Wlodarczyk. So it's smooth sailing for Wlodarczyk for now, but once he comes out of the pits with full service, Alex Carson is the fastest car on the track as nobody else has pitted yet. Joshua Pacer comes in on lap 62, about 7 laps after Carson cut his tire down and had to pit early. Stefan Wlodarczyk pits 1 lap later. And after spending 6 laps on fresher tires than everyone else, Alex Carson leads by 6.5 seconds over his teammate Joshua Pacer. But as these tires start to fall off, this could turn into a disadvantage for him. For now, Pacer and Wlodarczyk are going to have to settle for fighting for second, but they are really being held up by the lapped cars of, I think that's Porter House and Aaron Singer right now. So Carson is going to be able to extend his lead here as Wlodarczyk takes advantage of the 16 and moves into second. Pacer, for the second time this race, is going to lose a ton of ground thanks to a lapped car. Another SAR goes up in smoke. although this could be some clever marketing by Jewel, as Colton Spencer brings his car into the pits and behind the wall. Spencer was having a really good run up in 6th place until then, and now trouble for Calvin Hobbs running in 9th, although he is a lap down, as his car just shuts off, but he will coast to the pits, get that looked at, and come back onto the track, well outside of an opportunity for a top 10 finish. But in the final lap, Stefan Wlodarczyk runs down Alex Carson as his tires start to wear out, and Wlodarczyk's slightly fresher tires really give him a huge advantage. White flag is out now, and Wlodarczyk makes the move to the inside of Carson, who can't do a whole lot as Wlodarczyk noses ahead. Carson might make one last-ditch effort to claim the lead back through the bend, but it's not going to be enough. Wlodarczyk has the spot going into turn 3, and Wlodarczyk is going to take career win number 3, second in a row. Wlodarczyk taking a liking to these late race theatrics right now.